Good afternoon, South Mississippi. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here in the newsroom today, giving you a breakdown of what to expect over the next several days in your forecast. Plus, we will be talking a little bit about the tropics and what will very likely become Tropical Storm Gabrielle. I'll just preface that by saying we do not have any to the Gulf Coast at this time. But let's go ahead and get started. It is pretty warm outside, even though we are in the middle of September. Yeah, it still feels a little bit like summer, but that's to be expected in South Mississippi. As of 2:30, we have temperatures upper 80s, low 90s. It is a little bit on the humid side today. Not as bad as what we get during the summer months, but you may notice it feeling a little bit muggy out there. Beautiful though, blue sky, sunshine for many of us. And right now in Gulfport, we are sitting at 87 with a heat index of 91. We have dew points in the upper 60s. So again, it does feel a little bit humid outside, especially in the direct sunlight. That's where it feels warmer. We're going to stay in the upper 80s and low 90s this afternoon, but overnight tonight, our temperatures drop nicely into the low 70s on the coast. There's a good chance that if you live north of I-10, you're probably going to be seeing the upper 60s waking up on Wednesday morning. Now, there is a chance for a few isolated showers and thunderstorms today. It's not going to be much. The vast majority of us are going to be missing out on the rain today, which is great if you have plans to be out and about this evening. However, we do need more rain across the area. Just still not expecting a lot of it over the next week or so. Maybe by the end of this upcoming weekend, we'll have a slightly better chance of seeing a few showers and storms. Even then, doesn't look like it's going to be much. For your marine forecast tonight, looking at a smooth to light chop, seas about a foot or less over the sound, seas offshore a little bit higher at 1 to 3 feet. Our sunset this evening is at 7 o'clock. And by the way, that's going to be our last 7 o'clock sunset for quite some time. Looks like we will be coming up on low tide throughout the early part of the evening. High tide is expected very early tomorrow morning, right around and just after the sunrise on Wednesday. So like I said, this is going to be our last 7 o'clock sunset for quite some time. This is for Gulfport. So today, 7 o'clock sunset. In about 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be seeing that sunset even earlier at about 6:42 by the 30th. And then as we get into the month of October, the sunset will become a little bit earlier. In 3 weeks, on October 7th, our sunset is going to be at 6:34. It's actually not going to be until March 8th of next year that we're going to be seeing the sunset at 7 o'clock or later than that. So, you know, I'm in the camp where I like the later sunsets. I like having a little more daylight during the day, but we're getting closer and closer to fall, so those sunsets will continue to get earlier. So going back to our forecast, first alert radar showing a few isolated showers up into northern Pearl River County. Other than that, things are very dry here in South Mississippi. We've got a good bit of sunshine, satellite showing a few clouds. But to be honest, things are relatively quiet here along the Gulf Coast. Looks like there is a little bit of severe weather in parts of northern Louisiana. Not expecting that here in South Mississippi. If anything, things are just going to stay relatively quiet over the next several hours, and in fact, over the next several days. So in the upper levels, we do see an area of low pressure along the eastern seaboard. That's eventually going to be lifting up to the north. Still looking at slight ridging or a slight area of high pressure to our north. And for the most part, we're just going to be stuck in this very warm and dry pattern for quite some time. So overnight tonight, temperatures drop into the 60s and 70s. Tomorrow, very similar to today, we're going to be back into the upper 80s and low 90s. I'll go back and show you there our afternoon temperatures. There we go. We can see right around 3 o'clock, 3:30, we're going to be in the upper 80s and low 90s. Could there potentially be a few stray showers? It's possible, but at this point, that is still looking pretty unlikely tomorrow. And over the next several days, I would not get your hopes up too high if you've been wanting more rainfall. A nice forecast, though, if you're going to be spending some time outside. Sure, it's going to be hot in the afternoons, but rain is really not going to be impacting your outdoor plans too much. Now, by the end of the weekend and into early next week, rain chances may be just a smidge higher. Not going to be much, though. All in all, we're still not expecting a lot of rain over the next several days. And as you know, we really have not seen hardly any rain at all this month. In fact, we have not had any measurable rainfall in Gulfport on record. Our average month-to-date rainfall for September, as of September 16th, is a little over 3 inches. From Moss Point, we have technically picked up 1/100th of an inch. But average month-to-date rainfall is also a little bit over 3 inches, and that deficit likely will grow over the next several days. High temperatures this upcoming week or throughout the rest of the week, low 90s, upper 80s, not too far off from the normal high temperature in Gulfport of 88, but not really looking at any big cool down anytime soon. The mornings are going to be comfortable in the 60s and 70s, but it's still going to be pretty toasty during the afternoons. Humidity, well, we are going to keep dew points mainly in the 60s over the next several days. So a little bit humid at times, not as bad as what we get during the middle of summer, but also not going to be feeling too refreshing, it seems like, anytime soon. I'll say this, our forecast is very consistent day in and day out throughout the rest of the week. Just a quick look at the drought monitor here in South Mississippi. Everybody included in abnormally dry conditions at this point. We will have another drought monitor released on Thursday. I'll be curious to see how much that moderate drought is going to expand here along the Gulf Coast. And parts of southeast Louisiana, South Alabama, also seeing abnormally dry conditions as well. So locally, our weather, very quiet. We are stuck in a consistent pattern for quite some time. In the tropics, well, we do have 2 areas that we're watching for possible development. The one of more interest is highlighted in red there. It's also been designated as Invest 92L. We've also got another tropical wave that has moved off the coast of Africa. That one at this time has a low chance of development, but WL has a very good chance of becoming either a tropical depression or tropical storm over the next 24 to even 48 hours. So that will likely happen very soon. We can see that general counterclockwise swirl. We're getting that area of low pressure to get a little bit more organized. As it moves over the warm water in the Atlantic, odds are it will be developing a little bit more. Let's see if I can get those model plots to show you where this system is heading. Thankfully, it does look like if the system develops, which is very likely, it is not going to be a concern for the Gulf Coast. Chances are it's going to continue on a track to the north and west out to sea, and it does look like eventually it will be curving up into the northern Atlantic. Now, that being said, you're very likely going to be hearing the name Gabrielle more by the end of the week as the system gets a little bit more organized. Some forecast models also show it eventually becoming a hurricane, so it could potentially become the second hurricane of the season. So far, we've only had one hurricane, and that was Hurricane Erin, and that did end up becoming a Category 5 hurricane, but thankfully Erin, for the most part, remained out to sea. So again, next name on the list is Gabrielle. We are just a little over halfway through September, and at this point, things have been relatively quiet this month, which a little unusual. So I don't think anyone's complaining about that, but usually during the first half of September, we have more named systems in the Atlantic Basin. It just didn't happen this year. And again, I don't think many of us are complaining about that. That being said, hurricane season is not over. We still need to be careful and have our hurricane preparedness plan ready to go just in case something else does develop, not only by the end of the month, but also throughout the first half of October. It's not that uncommon that we don't see something develop in the Caribbean or even in the Gulf. So we still need to be on guard over the next several weeks. It just so happens that this week looks like things are in pretty good shape here for South Mississippi in terms of the tropics. Now, drought conditions, that's a different story. Not much rain in our 7-day forecast. You may see a few stray showers here or there. I would not get your hopes up too high if you need more rainfall. Temperatures in the afternoon, likely going to be around 90, morning lows, upper 60s, low 70s, a very consistent 7-day forecast. We're stuck in that pattern. And the first day of fall, by the way, is this upcoming Monday. Not going to quite feel like it. Temperatures upper 80s to low 90s, but I would say it's rare for us in South Mississippi to actually have a fall-like feel on the first day of fall. It still is going to feel like summer for quite some time. So stay tuned when we will eventually get that really nice cool down. It's just not going to be in the near future as far as I can tell, but at least it's not as hot and humid as what it is during the middle of our summer months. So time now, pretty much 3 o'clock. We will be having another update on your forecast coming up today at 4 o'clock on WLOX. We'll have the latest news as well. So hopefully you can join us today at 4 o'clock.